Welcome to the Got Invention Show. I'm your host, Brian Freed, and today we have Konstantin Dolgan. He is the inventor of Realizr, which is an organizer for your invention ideas. Welcome to the show, Konstantin.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to your audience.
So why don't you tell us first who you are, where you're from, and what the idea was that you had?
Well, originally I'm from Kazakhstan, which is a country between Russia and China. I moved to the US in 2010, got my Ph.D. at Louisiana Tech University in engineering, materials science, and stuff like that. Kind of like mechanical engineer mixed with the material science. After that, started to work as a research and development engineer, and after a few years of working, decided to actually launch my own business, and that's what I'm running right now. The company is called LA New Product Development Team, and what we do is we help to develop new products. We develop our own products, so essentially we are a full-service new product development company. I'm personally a certified new product development professional and have 3 engineering degrees, and I love soccer. I guess that kind of describes who I am and what I do.
So just being in the space and being an engineer, you probably have a bunch of ideas. You're trying to figure out maybe what you should work on, what you shouldn't work on, just like kind of chicken scratch. I don't know. I write things down, or I send myself a text message or a voice message or whatever just to capture my idea. But what you said was, you know what, there's people that have paper in front of them. They're drawing things, they're writing different, jotting different ideas down. But you said, you know what, let me just figure out a way to organize this. So you came up with the Realizr, is that right?
Kind of like that. So the way the story went is like, first let me kind of back up a little bit and tell that ideas is, or like a product idea is what everything starts with. That's how your new product development journey, I guess, what it starts with. Or in a sense, an idea is a seed that you're planting, and then you want to grow a nice product that's going to generate revenue, make you happy, and make someone's life better or easier or more comfortable. But what we often see is that those seeds, those ideas, actually very often get kind of neglected, and it's almost like you come up with that aha moment, and then you jump into designing and engineering the product without thinking through the idea itself. So what we've noticed by working with many inventors and product developers is that oftentimes they would come to us with a very raw, undefined, poorly developed idea, something basically at the inception of the idea development process. And we realized there should be a better way to do this, because people need to know how to develop ideas and how to get the maximum potential of their ideas before they jump into doing prototyping, engineering, stuff like that. And that's where the idea of the Realizr, that's when it came to us.
So just going through the process yourself and watching other people go through it, you came up with the Realizr. So tell us about what this organizer is all about.
It's more than just an organizer. So obviously, we looked at the products that were in the market at that time, which would be a traditional Invention notebook, or on the other side, you would have books about how to develop products. And there were no actual tools that we found that would help inventors come up with better ideas and do it faster, consistently, and just make it to where it's a process, and it's the same process that they use and that would work for them, that would help them to track their ideas, go back to some of the older ideas and upgrade them and things like that. So how every profession has its tools of the trade. Mechanics that have their tools, farmers have their tools, and they need those tools to do their job right. But us inventors and product developers, we barely have any tools, and very few companies actually develop tools for inventors. You hear all these stories how inventors develop better tools for agriculture, better tools for automotive industry, better tools for sports and things like that, but who's doing anything for the inventors? So they end up like having like not that many tools. Like we adopt some tools from that industry, like from that application, but overall there are no specific tools designed for inventors to come up with better ideas. And idea is actually like a product of an inventor or product developer's work. So we got to have tools to help us develop better ideas faster and more reliably, I guess. Okay. I mean, take all the tools from a farmer. Would you expect them to come up with a good crop? They will struggle. And same happens to inventors and product developers.
Understood. So show us what you have there.
It looks like a journal or a notebook. It has like a heart bind here, and in the basic shape or like on the basic functionality of it is it's a notebook essentially. Like you can write down your ideas and describe them, but the way it's different from a regular notebook or an invention journal is that there is a system built into this product. We call it 3D ideation process. So essentially, it's the system that we came up with that helps to develop better ideas faster. And we describe the system in this notebook, and then, like in this tool, we call it product idea development tool. So we describe the system, and what it allows you to do is go through like this 3-step process. And it's called 3D because all the steps start with a D letter. The first step is devise, then you detail, and then you describe. So, and if we look here, like that would be like the typical page where you would start working on your idea. And the first step is called devise. That is actually the step where you just want to take out all the thoughts about the product that you have in mind out of your mind on the paper. And that's where you start jotting like different things. Like you start like doing like some rough sketches. Most people prefer visual representation. Some people start describing things. But that's actually like the stage where you want to just take out all of those thoughts that you have in mind, like capture them, put them on a tangible media, so you could always like go back to them. And as you start sketching them, you start noticing that this element doesn't look right, or it's probably not going to work this way. And you start revising those sketches. You start coming up, like putting together like new sketches. And this process typically goes rather quickly because like you start drawing it and no, this doesn't look right. Then you erase it or just draw a new sketch until you get to the point where this looks right, and this may actually work. And then the next step is the detail. That's the stage where you want to work on the details of your idea. In other words, like think through the idea from different perspectives. So let's say we're talking about a hardware product. At the detail stage, you would want to think like how it will be manufactured, how it will be shipped, what kind of packaging you're going to use, who's going to buy it, like how big is the target market, and things like that. And based on your thought process, you may want to modify the idea. You may start like figuring out that certain elements need to be changed, but also some things start to solidify at this point, and then you start marking them on your sketch.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting being an inventor myself and coming up with ideas all the time. Mm-hmm. I immediately find a piece of paper, most likely a sticky note that's right next to me. And I probably draw and write on 10 of them at least, just to get my thought out of what I'm thinking, and not just what I'm thinking about how it looks, but how it could work, how it might function. Just like as much as I can at that moment, just like capture that idea and what I'm thinking about at that moment. So I know how important it is, that ideation stage, that just aha moment that you have in your head. If you don't write it down, poof, it's gone immediately. You're at a stop sign. Somebody calls you up, they pull you to the side, whatever it is, immediately you get distracted and it's gone. So having this Realizr next to you, or maybe right under your armpit or whatever, just to be able to capture it down. But what you're doing is, this is I know you're calling it Realizr. It's, to me, it's almost like a brainstorming. So you have many different pages in there to sketch and everything else, which is awesome. But I
Mhm.
know that just once you have that idea and you want to say, okay, how does it look? What do I have to do next? Like, it's interesting the way that you have those pages and the sketches from the specific ideation stage of when you come up with an
Mhm.
idea. Very interesting. So, is this for one idea? Because I have many ideas every day. So, is this for one, or is it something where you can just keep for as many ideas as you have?
I would say this tool is would people who come up with ideas every day or like quite often, or who go back to the previous ideas often, they would find this tool like most helpful to them. It's designed for people who develop ideas on a regular basis. If it's just one idea, you can find this like practical and useful as well, but you're probably not going to be using it every day. So this is definitely like the tool we designed for people to use on an everyday basis, for professional product developers, for professional inventors, for people who want to become better in that or who want to improve their invention skills.
Before doing this, did you ever produce a book before?
No, actually, and I wouldn't call this a book because it's not really a book and it's not published. We call it a tool because it's somewhat
Cool.
in between a book and a notebook and something in between. It's a breed of its own, I guess. And it was definitely different, a different experience developing this product, developing this tool, because we work on hardware products and software products all day long, and developing this printed tool was kind of a different process. Overall, I mean, the general process is the same. You go through the same steps. You come up with an idea, you work on your concept, you work on prototyping, you work on securing the intellectual property. But the difference was obviously like in details. For example, like first thing we faced with is how do we lay it out? How do we make it to where the layout of the book is of the tool, the layout is general enough for people with different habits to use, but at the same time, it would be structured so that they could benefit from our 3D ideation process. And as we started to lay out, we had to get rid of some features, some elements that we wanted to put initially, and definitely like had to go through the sketching process, because like that's what we did in the beginning. We sketched the pages and started to play with them. Like just the good part about developing something that could be printed is that you can print it real quick and test it. So the prototyping and concept design process goes very quickly because you don't have to wait for even hours. Like when we develop hardware products, like when we do 3D printing and prototyping, that may take weeks. And with this kind of product, that process goes much faster. And I believe it took us probably like just less than 6 months to develop and launch this product. But if you take a typical hardware product, even if it's not complex and with no electronics, you're looking at least like 9 months or a year and a half is actually like pretty average.
Well,
So
very
the
interesting. So
mhm,
you came up with
mhm.
you came up with this idea to have this organizer. Then you started to map out the steps of the ideation stage that people would go
Mhm.
through, sketched it out, wrote what you needed to, laid it out, and then what'd you do after that?
After that, our graphic designer started to make it look pretty, and we started to look at it again and went through several iterations of design improvement, design optimization, testing. Like we had a big debate on whether to put, for example, I'll give you an idea, whether to put this sketching like a device step on the right side or the left side, because from the user experience standpoint, it's easier to sketch on this side because it's harder and it's laying on the table flat. While this side, it actually like it's always an angle. You have less support here, and it's kind of just a little more flimsy. But on the other side, it's more logical to start with this page. That's because like how we're used to going through books like from this page to that page, not the other way around. I guess, except like maybe if you in a country that writes in Arabic language, but in general, everyone's used to go like this page then that page, not the other way around. So we had like a long debate on whether to put the sketching page on the left side and the right side. We had like lots of these kind of nuances where we had to get rid of some elements. And our designers and product developers and project managers always like were debating what's going to be best and how to go about this. So that we went through that process, and that took probably like I would say a good 3 months or so, and it was pretty much ready for printing. And we print our first batch. It was an interesting experience finding a company that can actually do these kind of things, because again, we kind of like fell in between books and journals. And you have printing companies that focus on books, and you have companies that focus on journals, and we didn't have like internal capabilities to print our own realizers. So we had to work with one company or another. So finding the right company was another challenge and I guess experience, because you learn about what they need to see, what kind of technical nuances they pay attention to, like margins, bleeds, things like that. And as you work with them, you learn like how the printed product needs to be designed to be more economical. And we learned quickly that, for example, printing, like our first batch was only, I believe, 25 pieces. We learned quickly that that's very expensive. So when you when you produce a printed product, you really want to be in thousands, because printing anything like in just a few units is quite expensive. So it's hard to make money on something that you print in low volume. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, Konstantin, because we have people on the Got Invention show that come up with an invention, a product or something. You came up with a product. It's a tool for the ideation stage. And I use the word ideation. I got into the habit of using that word, but really the brainstorming ideation stage, when you're coming up with that idea, to really think it through and to go through what you came up with and to see it visually as much as you can. I mean, I'm still drawing in lines, not very good, but it's for my eyes only, to really just justify like what it is in my mind that I'm coming up with. And then this could be something that, like, if somebody's in a different industry also, the way that you said it is that you're coming up with another tool for your industry. And you've come up with one for when you come up with an idea, with just getting through that point of being able to write it down. So you went through it with your team. You ended up getting the layout together and everything. That cover looks very interesting. What does the cover represent?
Well, the cover represents basically like our team's, I guess, branding. And you see a lot of orange. That's because orange is the color of innovation and ideas and energy. That's why we use a lot of orange, but you also see black. That's because that's solid, rigid, that's structured. And that's what we wanted to do. What we wanted the colors to represent here is that we have a lot of energy structured in a way where we can actually like capture the benefit of that energy.
So being able to find that company that was able to put the book together, because I speak to a lot of inventors, and some of them aren't physical products either. They have a book, or they have a journal, or they have something that they want to put together that is really specific to what they want to show or to share. So what you've done is similar to, well, they're doing something similar to you also, is just really creating a tool for themselves, and you're creating a tool that you're offering and selling to other people. So tell me about that, Konstantin. now that you found the
Mhm.
printing company, you have it at this point where it looks like it's a decent size. But for me, I'm going to be writing in this constantly. So is this something that maybe you're thinking about in the future to make a smaller one, almost like a pocket size one?
You got it. Yep, already in the process of working on that. Yes, we heard that. That's actually like that. That's an interesting point because that's what we learned talking to our customers and people who use the book. They all love it, but they all express the need of having something like that for them to go with. And I mean, this is a good size if you're carrying like a backpack or some kind of like bag with you.
Right.
But some people prefer a smaller size, kind of like journal size of a notebook. So we're already working on that, and that's due to like thanks to the talking to our customers, and that's something like I would recommend every inventor to do is if you don't have a product yet, talk to your potential customers about the concept. If you have a prototype, let them see your prototype, play with it, get that feedback. If you have the product, definitely gather the feedback from your buyers or potential buyers or people who decided not to purchase your product. So you'll learn a lot from these kind of interactions.
Very interesting. So what are you doing with it right now? Now that you have it done, it's a finished product. You're selling it, you're
Mm-hmm.
giving them out, a little of
Uh,
both.
we use it ourselves every day. It's a part of our product discovery process. Product discovery is the stage where you develop ideas. So we include that in a kit that our customers get. We sell it as a separate product, and we also like donate them sometimes to schools and other organizations where they have like creative kids and students who want to come up with ideas, who are inventors and who want to learn how to do it and be more organized in that aspect.
Tell us about the intellectual property side. So
Mm-hmm.
now that you have all the pages laid out with all
Mm-hmm.
your information in there and your checklist of when you come up with the idea, how to just think about it and what you should think about it. Um, did you go through any trademarking of the name Realizr? Did you do any copywriting of the information inside? Tell us about just that part of your experience.
Yes, I think we actually like. I think we applied for the trademark. I don't remember exactly, but I believe we did apply for the Realizer trademark. I don't remember if we received it or not though. But for this particular product, I wasn't worrying too much about the intellectual property because there is not much you can actually do with this kind of product. What we did is like we registered the copyright, and but it's as you know it gets assigned automatically, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. But there is not much to protect. But what we have to, I guess, focus on here is making it our brand and working more on the brand and the know-how behind the product. That's really the only way how we can protect, I guess, the this product. But again, like this is a tool that I want our peers to use. And if someone ends up like copying it and stealing it, but it's still going to benefit the community. So in this particular product, it's kind of like a half our payback to the community, I guess, more than it's a product. So I'm not worried too much about the intellectual property, but the good thing to do is definitely like to get the copyright registered. If you can get the trademark, that's a benefit too. And I don't think there is a way to get a patent on this, but I guess patent attorneys can probably argue with that. But I guess that's talking about the intellectual property here. Yeah.
Okay, so you have the tool all ready to go. You have Realizr, it's in your hand there. It looks like you have a stack of them. So tell us what
Mhm.
you've done so far with it. Are you selling it now? Where can we buy it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sell it primarily on our website. We also sell it on Etsy and eBay, but most of the sales come through our website because that's how people find out about the product. We also registered it on Google. So if you register in Google Merchant, then people can also find your product searching for it on Google. But yeah, and like I said, we also include it as a part of our product discovery process.
Very nice. So where can we actually go? Is there a physical website that you could tell us to go to purchase it?
Yeah, if you go to our website, lanpdt.com, it's underneath here. You'll see, like in the top, in the menu section, you'll see there is a specific page dedicated to this tool called Realizr.
Okay. All right. Can you maybe just tell us the letters of your website?
Yeah, it's LAN as Nancy PDT.com.
Okay, great. So Konstantin, you've been working as in product development. You have this tool that you came up with for ideas. Tell us and give us some words of wisdom, because I'm sure people have come through your way as an engineer. You're working on different projects. So tell us, for all the, whether they're inventors, entrepreneurs, just somebody that had an idea at some point, give us some words of wisdom that can help us keep us moving forward with our ideas.
Well, I guess I'm going to be copying a very well-known slogan, but just do it. Even today, with so many tools and information available, we quite often see people hesitating on starting to work on their idea. They may be sitting on it for years, and with the current market conditions and with the current situation, technology state, ideas get developed really quick. So if something comes to your mind and just kind of like gets stuck in your head, then just consider like working on it. You don't have to put a lot of money into it, but start doing it like one step at a time. Be perseverant about it, and like just do it. Essentially, you're gonna regret later for not trying it, and that's what we see quite often. So my advice is, like, if you have an idea, start working on it. Be smart about it, but don't sit on it and don't hesitate, because ideas are not going to develop themselves.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Konstantin. So we're looking forward to seeing the Realizr in a pocket size, or maybe even in an app one day. That would be interesting.
We have an app called Realizr. It's more of like a project management tool, though. So if you have a team who works on developing ideas, we have a mobile app. Well, not a mobile app. It's a web app tool called Realizr as well.
Very nice. Congratulations, Konstantin Dolgan. He has the tool Realizr for the idea in your head to put in that organizer tool. Thank you very much, Konstantin, for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And here's another episode of the Got Invention Show. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you'd like to be a guest, you can go to gotinventionshow.com. Until then, thank you very much and have a great day.